Hello and welcome along to episode 2 of Ninqueso Live, the one where we're going to talk about stuff. I am joined by the suicidal, homicidal, genocidal Miss Bree. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
How are you today?
Yeah, I am smoking, and that's nothing to do with my ego, bestie. It is hot.
It is hot.
In the UK, we are experiencing a bit of a heat wave.
We're not
today.
used to heat in the UK, so it's only to be expected. I was looking forward to all these promised thunderstorms today, and they just didn't arrive.
No, but it's 32 in this room here. So yeah, I'm smoking. If spontaneous human combustion is a thing, it could happen. Stay tuned.
I'll just carry on without you, it's fine.
That's hot.
I'll do my
That's
best.
Very hot, Bessie. That's very, very hot.
Well, you know, show must go on. I've got a little fan blowing hot air at me, so it's all good.
Whatever.
So what
We've
you been
got
up?
a bit to talk about today, haven't we?
Yeah, there's a fair bit, but nothing massive. Obviously, Sony had their state of play last week. Seems like forever ago because it was last Thursday, wasn't it?
It
Which
was
is
last Thursday.
such a long time ago.
We did talk about this in the last episode, didn't we? And we said they're keeping this low key.
Yeah.
But I still think there are a few people online that expected a bit of PS5 to come with it, and they were sadly disappointed. Although this was longer than I expected, there was a bit more in here to get excited than I initially thought. So
I think what they needed, the way Nintendo would have addressed this, it would have been an Indies Direct, whereas it's mainly independent stuff, and I think something like that would have been a good sort of shout for Sony, just to really sort of say, look, it's just smaller stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
But I mean,
the only sort of omission that I saw here was there's no Resident Evil.
Well, but that's like a PS5 game, and they did say nothing really new about PS5. I mean, they did go over a little bit of PS5, but not too much. But I think the biggest thing they went over was Crash Bandicoot.
I know, right? I picked out 3 on here that I thought, this is what I'm going for, because I thought, you know what? There's a few on here I like, a few on here I don't like. I'll pick out my top 3. So Crash Bandicoot was my first. Bandicoot, and it not only looks good, but I think it's got everything that sort of people were wanting and expecting from it.
Yeah, it's very much in the style of the Crash Bandicoot remake trilogy, the graphics and things. And I did like the way they excessively pointed out that, yes, there's costumes in it, but there's no microtransactions. You unlock them by playing the game. Honest, we're not going to add things in. But yeah, it's your typical Crash Bandicoot affair. There's some interesting things, I guess. I've not played. I have got the Insane Trilogy on the Switch. And that's one of the other things with this. This isn't an Xbox, PlayStation exclusive. This is also coming out on Xbox. And they have just discovered, data miners, that it is probably coming out on the PC and the Switch as well, just a little bit later. Well, that's exactly what they did with the last one, the Insane Trilogy. Is it released initially on the Xbox and PlayStation, and then must have been about 7-8 months later, it came out on the Switch and PC. So that's kind of what they're looking at. I think it's to do with the PlayStation and Xbox are much easier to code for. They're much more similar. So,
that's right, they are.
Yeah, so it's kind of get them done first, and then we'll concentrate on getting the other versions out, so that we don't have half-hearted versions sort of popping up that need loads of patches.
I agree. So next we had Hitman 3.
We did have Hitman 3, which is already out, but this is a VR experience. It's not experience, it's the full game in VR.
That's right, full game in VR. So I was excited about this, although it's not in my pick of 3. But really, I think it's just because I'm murderous. That's what I could see. My next lifetime, that would be, I'm a cleaner.
You like creeping around and murdering people with frying pans. And using the move controllers so you can hit them in whichever way you want.
I saw that. It appealed to me.
Yeah, it's I've not played a Hitman game since the GameCube, which is I imagine they've evolved quite a bit since then.
Yes.
So again, this didn't.
bit.
I like VR. I think this game could probably work well in VR because it's not going to be fast paced, and I know from like playing Skyrim in VR, sneaking around is much less nauseating than running around.
Do you know what? I remember the first week you got your VR and you were like nauseous for days.
It made you feel really wobbly. It was horrible. But it's just like I've just spent £300 on this thing that makes me feel sick.
Yeah, I remember coming on you going, "Are you all right, Misty? Are you okay?" You're like, "I don't feel very well."
I think the trick I found with VR is don't sit down and play it. If you're standing up, it's not as bad. I think because you can move a little bit, and when you're sort of sat down and you're moving in game, it really throws you. It's not so bad in a car, but to walk around sat down is just all wrong.
Is it like motion sickness?
I don't know, because I'd never get motion sickness, even from any roller coaster or anything. You just get really hot and you just feel like a bit sick in your stomach. So I guess it is. I think it's to do with the fact that your eyes are giving your brain one signal, but your inner ear isn't giving the same signal. For like when like your eyes are telling your body you're moving, but your inner ear is going, no, we're not.
Yeah, that's it, and that's the reason that people tend to get seasick as well. It's that disconnect between what your inner ear is telling you, and what your eyes are telling you. So yeah, I mean, it must be the same thing.
Okay, well, from there we had this game called Braid, which is a game.
Braid Anniversary Edition.
Yes, I've never heard of it.
It's a puzzling game. And what they've done really is just give it additional texture and smooth movement and everything. And it does look interesting. I mean, I have to say, sort of like the way they've got like the brush textures and everything, it's beautiful. What they've created is beautiful, but I'm not 100% certain sort of like how much further they've done.
Yeah, it's like
beautifying it, because it seems to be, it's like the same game, pretty dark.
Yes,
so I'm kind
it
of like,
is.
what's your point?
And it's like from the trailers, he's walking backwards all the time. Which I don't understand. I mean, it must be a good game if it's got a remake, but I've never heard of it before.
No,
So-
it's a puzzling game, isn't it? So
Yeah, it's a puzzle platformer type thing, I think. And then I got another one, Splunk 2.
Spelunky 2.
And they kept going on about this, and it's like, I've never even heard of Splunk. What? What is this? And
Yeah.
the thing that got me with this trailer is the amount of times he said Splunk.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I hear you. No comment.
But yeah, this didn't mean anything to me. I think this game and the last game, Braid, I was both looking at it, watching it, thinking these would be good Switch games.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. The only thing that I noticed about Spelunky 2 was like he kept going on about the skins and how they're interchangeable and you could style it yourself. And I'm just like, this is so old school. Like, I don't even believe that you've mentioned this. Really, this is a selling point.
But
what?
I'm sure again, if it's a sequel, the first one must have done quite well. So there must be fans out there of it. But
Yeah.
I totally missed this whenever it came out before. I couldn't even tell you what it came out on before.
I knew about it, but I've not played it.
And then we got some DLC for Control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't play Control.
I didn't play it either.
Didn't it win Game of the Year last year, I think?
I think
Control.
it did. I think you're right, yeah.
So
But,
apparently
I'm
it's good.
quite interested in.
But I guess the Control fans out there are going to be like, woohoo, more Control. Then
So then we come to... Da-da-da.
Vader Immortal, a VR game where you're fighting against Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Let's be serious, you'll be losing. You're not going to beat him, are you?
I want to be Darth Vader.
That
I
would
don't
be
want to fight
better.
against him.
That would be a lot better.
That's me being Darth Vader.
Okay, I thought I had like sound on the trailer then. It's like,
You
why is
want
it
to
making noise? What's going on?
What the hell is that?
But yeah, it looks interesting. The only downside is Sony needs to sort out their control for VR. The Move controllers are great and everything, but as they don't have any analog sticks on, they suck for movement. It's like, I don't know how this game will work, but in Skyrim, you got a button that you press to make yourself walk, and you walk in whichever direction you're pointing the controller in. So if you've got to like walk backwards, you've got to like turn the controller behind you and press it, and all they would have to do is just change the 2 center buttons to analog sticks, and it would be absolutely perfect then, because you could still have the movement of the Move controller, but you could have like a more precise forward, backwards, and it's just, it's so funky trying to play like that. But it's so much better than using the controller, where you're doing everything on there apart from looking up and down. And it's just, I'm interested in the Darth Vader game. Vader Immortal, it could be good, but it's just like
it's not in my 3. It's not in my 3.
You don't have VR. You've never even played VR.
Yeah, but only because I do get motion sickness.
Yeah, there's some games that never give you it. Okay, what's this one? Aeon Must Die.
Eon Must Die.
Eon Must Die. This was a really weird looking one. It was like, I think very stylized. Like, it was running at about 10 frames a second, but I think that's what they want, because it makes it look like that cartoon sort of.
Yeah, and I thought this is just like a cartoon. I was just like, what are you trying to achieve here?
Yeah, it looks interesting.
I'm not interested.
But I didn't say it looked good. I said it looked interesting. It was one of the visually, it stood out from everything else on the presentation, I think.
Yeah, really, because it was so stylized.
Again, I just thought this should be on the Switch. And the chances are all these games are, because they're like indie developers.
Yeah.
And like the Switch is just so much, because if you're playing a game that doesn't need graphical power, why wouldn't you get it on a system that you can take with you wherever you go?
Well, that's
the thing I find with the PlayStation and Xbox. It's much more of an event to actually play on them, because you've got to sit down, you've got to set it up, you've got to be in front of the TV. Whereas the Switch, it's just like, just grab it and just play for a little bit. It's just so much more convenient.
And it makes it so much more accessible as well, doesn't it? The gaming experience is like enhanced because of that. Yeah,
exactly. So like going back to Crash, I'll probably wait the 6 to 12 months for it to come out on the Switch, because
it's not like there's not other stuff to be getting on with, is it? All right, moving on.
Hood. I don't remember this at all. Oh yes, I do. It was awful. I was watching this and thinking, this looks absolutely rotten.
You know what? I was drawn to it immediately because it's all medieval, and I'm kind of all medieval too.
But it's just like, from what I can make out, you press a button and you just auto. Oh no, this is a different game. This is this is like the stealthy, attacky, fighty game. Now I retract my objection to it looking awful and rotten.
Retraction given.
That's a different game that's coming up later.
Yeah, and that does look a little bit god awful.
Yeah, it's like none of this is gameplay though. It's all like CGI footage. So who knows what this is going to be like?
I want to see more before I buy this. Yeah. So another reason it's not in my 3.
It could be good, but like you say, we need to know a lot more. And this is PlayStation 5. There's a new PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X. So it's basically coming on everything apart from the Switch. And it's not out till 2021.
Which is everything you want on the Switch. All right. So next
the pedestrian. This one looks odd.
Very pedestrian.
It was a puzzle game where you're kind of like just walking off from picture frames into a different picture frames.
Yeah, I was baffled by this, quite frankly.
Don't know what to expect with this one.
No.
It's kind of just like, okay.
I'm going to need something more, dudes. I'm going to need something more.
Yeah, it says it's just coming to the PS4, so
yeah,
PS4 exclusive there.
Okay.
Oh god, this one.
Bug snap.
Yes, they announced this at the PS5 event, and I thought it looked awful then, and I still think it looks awful now.
I thought it would appeal to you because
exactly. This should be the sort of game that I would be like, oh my god, this looks amazing, but it just looks absolutely rotten. It's just
again, the dodgy accent really
it's just
got me with
cheesy and just like. Bleh.
You know what I thought about this? I thought they were trying to be a little bit edgy and ironic and absolutely failing.
Yeah, it's just whatever they're going for with this. For me, it's a big fail, and I've got absolutely no interest in this game whatsoever.
No,
I'm not going to be disappointed that I'm not going to play it at launch because I won't have a PS5.
The smart one-liners that they were going for absolutely failed, and then it just made it look cheesy, as you say. So whereas I was like, oh, I kind of like the sort of cartoon appeal. This sort of, as I got along, I thought, nah, this is not happening. I felt like they were trying too hard.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it just hasn't clicked with me for some reason. And I don't know why. But there you go.
Next.
What's this? I know
Mutation.
That's the one.
That's the one. No, that's all I've got to say. No,
I can't remember this one at all. That's the one thing I thought because I did a live stream of the Direct where I forgot to actually have my microphone switched on, so it was just me in the corner making funny gestures. But this whole show I felt dragged. It was just like, yeah, you're showing gameplay on a lot of these, but like, you don't need to show this much. Yeah, this was a bit of an odd one. And it was just like, it's just a 2D platformy type affair, I guess. Who knows? Yes, this was the one that I didn't like the look of. Seems to be a theme going on, doesn't it? The pathless.
Yeah. So this is an open world. You're a hunter, and you're trying to find the source of the darkness. And my opinion on this was they've just thrown everything in. We've got dragons in there. We've got spirit visions. We've got math. There just seems to be sort of like everything going on. Anything they could think of, they just threw it in randomly. And the weird thing about this whole sort of like bow and arrow is you don't aim.
Yes.
They specifically say this.
That's
what. Well. You don't need to aim. It's all about timing, and that just left me feeling like really confused. It's like, well, what's the point of a bow and arrow then?
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's
like you're watching a trailer, and obviously, like, the camera's not even panning round when she's shooting sideways at the stuff, and it's just, it's just kind of like, well, what's the point? So I'm just going to like trying to slide through levels as fast as possible by hitting these things where I'm not actually having any skill to hit them. I'm just pressing a button.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it just kind of looks like, what? And what is this?
The only thing that I liked about this was the music. I noticed the background music, and I was like, oh, that's something a bit different. I quite like it. But apart from that, I was just like, ooh.
And they showed the PS5 version.
Yeah.
Which, okay, but it doesn't look like a PS5. This doesn't look next gen to me at all. This is definitely could run on the PS4 looking like that.
And then up next, we had another open world RPG, Genshin Impact. And this was one of my 3. I was like really up for this.
Were you? Well, you need to play Breath of the Wild on the Switch, because this is an absolute rip-off of Breath of the Wild.
I don't have a Switch.
100%.
It's like me at opposite ends of the
this
spectrum.
This is so Breath of the Wild. It's just, they're not even hiding it.
Really?
Yeah. Everything about it is just like, right? This is just Breath of the Wild. What are you doing?
Well, I'm an Xbox girl, you know that. Xbox going through.
I tell you, 2017 Breath of the Wild won Game of the Year. Yeah. And it is really good. I mean, it is unlike any other sort of Zelda game that's come out before. But visually, this is Breath of the Wild. I mean, it probably looks a tiny bit graphically better, but it's on a more powerful system, so what do you expect?
Yeah.
But just, I don't know. I don't know. I think... And they've got Sukanine there as well from Pokemon. I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. It's like, did you not have any original ideas of your own?
No.
It's like, yeah, Breath of the Wild was popular. Let's just make that. And add a Pokemon in there as well.
Throw it in. It'll be all right.
I mean, it might be good. But yeah, it's just...
this was sort of like my sides gig to Crash Bandicoot 4. I felt like, yeah, this would be like the answer.
Well, I guess if like people who don't have the way to play Breath of the Wild, it's probably going to be a good little substitute.
Yeah. Well, that's me, isn't it? Okay. So moving on, we had auto chess.
Yes, auto chess.
On the tin.
It's a game.
How many times have we played a chess game?
That I don't know. This has got nothing. I'm never going to look at this.
It was just a filler, I think.
Yeah. then Temtem, which came out on the PC. I think it was last year because it came out the same sort of time as Pokemon Sword and Shield.
This is me sleeping.
And this is just, again, going back to where's that the Genshin game was a rip-off of Breath of the Wild. This is a rip-off of Pokemon.
I just could not be less interested in this. I thought this is a rip-off Pokemon. I just feel like,
well,
next.
I'm gonna put my foot down here. I love Pokemon. Pokemon is the best. I don't care what people say about Pokemon. You can't like Pokemon rules. Temtem, you suck. Come at me.
Go for it. Come at you. All right.
So yeah, Temtem, and that's coming out on everything anyway. It's also coming out on the Switch apparently.
Yes.
Then finally,
Godfall.
We've ended with Godfall.
Although what is being called online is god awful.
It looks so repetitive. From what they showed, everything was just in a little area fighting lots of people.
And it was such a long.
Yes, it was.
Like, what is this? It's 10 minutes of time that I'm never going to get back.
It was just kind of like, just get on with it. I don't need to see this. Like I say, this state of play did not need to be 50 or like 45, 50 minutes long. They could have got it down to 20. They really could have.
So Godfall, just to mention, it can be a single player, but also online co-op with you and 2 friends. And they've got, well, I think again they've sort of like thrown a bit of stuff in, like armor sets and earth, water, fire. But they've sort of like put it down to different weapon skills. So there's like they've got the Warhammer, and anyway, so there's about 8 different sets that you can choose from, and they're all different fighting styles. And I was just like, this just doesn't seem.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not clicking with me, and yeah, but it's a PS5 game anyway. So
enough, though, I thought to myself, I wouldn't mind having a go at this just to see if it's as bad as
as what people are saying.
So that's what I put on my 3, simply because I like to buck the trend. I was like, the internet hates it, therefore.
Yeah, I'd give it a go, but there needs to be a hell of a lot more to the game than what they've shown. From what they've shown, that's going to get tired. That's going to get old really fast.
And that was my thought, really. Is I thought there must be more than this. They must have had to rush this up to get it on the state of play. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, so Crash Bandicoot 4, Genshin Impact, and Godfall were my 3 that I thought I'll have a bash at that.
I think it was just Crash for me.
Really?
and the Vader Immortal.
Just that too.
I don't know about Hitman. Yeah, I don't know.
3.
I can't do any VR games till winter anyway. It's just way too hot to play VR at the moment.
Yeah,
So it's like
a little bit sick.
It's ridiculously too hot. Right.
Moving
on. The Switch software sales are comfortably beating the PS2's, the best-selling console of all time.
So for 3.5 years old, it's doing pretty good.
Yep, I just got an article here from Nintendo Life. Considering it's only been on the market for just under 3.5 years, the Nintendo Switch is performing incredibly well. The latest figures from Nintendo show the console has now shipped 61.44 million units, meaning that it will easily become the company's second best-selling home console of all time, if not the best later down the line.
Yeah, and by comparison, the Wii is 104 million units, the Nintendo 3DS was 75 million units, and the Wii U was 13 million units. So you can see there, the comparison is there.
Yeah,
3.5 years old,
the thing,
phenomenal figures.
It's already beaten the 3DS on software sales. So it sold more software than the 3DS has. And you got to think the 3DS, the games were cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, Pokemon games on that were 40. Like the big games were 40 on the 3DS, they're 60 on, or 50.
Interestingly enough, they also released how much software it
Yeah, I've got that coming up. So things are perhaps even more impressive on the software side of things, however. Earlier today, we shared a list of the top 10 best-selling Switch games, which now includes Animal Crossing New Horizons, after it sold a whopping 22 million copies in just over 3 months.
That's incredible. Overall sales on the Nintendo Switch are 406 million.
Yeah.
But still, in a short period of time, Animal Crossing,
it's
phenomenal.
just,
but
yeah.
then again, we've been in lockdown. People, there's not much to do.
Yes, that's true, but I feel even if we weren't in lockdown, it still would have done really well.
Yeah, I agree. I think this just hit all the marks, and for me.
I think, like, from what other people were saying, it's like some streamers were playing it who would never touch a game like that before, and like their audience were like, "Oh, what are you playing this for?" And then after they watch it for a bit, it's like, "Oh, this looks really good." And like celebrities are in on it as well. I remember like a few weeks back, Elijah Wood tweeted, "Who's got good turnip prices on their island? Because I need to sell my turnips." So some random person was like, "Oh, I have," and so he went to their island, like had a little tour, and it's just like, wow, Elijah Wood's just come to my island. It's just crazy. Yeah, comparing Switch games against one another is one thing, but let's talk about how their sales match up to those of the best-selling console of all time, the PS2. That's a tiny little thing. So, yeah. So, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on the PS2, 17.33 million. Your video's disappeared. Are you still there? Can I hear you? No. Fine, let's hang up the call. Yeah, and it's like the top games on the and the top games on the Switch got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is 26.74 million, and Animal Crossing is now in second place. Nice little musical break there. What do you mean you're unavailable? Oh dear. Right. So we're looking at like the top 4 games on the Switch that Are you back?
I'm back.
You're back. Good.
I'm back.
As I was just saying, you got the top 4 games on the Nintendo Switch. Mario Kart 8 with 26.74 million.
Oof.
Which this game is also like was on the Wii U as well. Animal Crossing at 22.4, Smash Brothers at 19.99. I like the way they didn't just round it up. They were like, no, it's not quite there yet. And then Breath of the Wild 18.60, Pokemon Sword and Shield at 18.22, Mario Odyssey at 18.06, and then the top selling PS2 game would come in there at 17.33, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. So that just kind of shows you exactly how much the Switch is selling. And like I say, we're about halfway through its life, if that. It might even be longer.
I just still think that Animal Crossing is such a good game. For me, it's sort of like it's come at the perfect time on the perfect console, and I can understand completely why the numbers are so high. Yeah,
I mean, I've enjoyed my time with it. I think unless something drastic happens in an update, I'm probably past it now. It's like my island is... I've done everything on the island that I want to do, and it's kind of like I don't want to change anything else. And if I change something else, then it's just, it's kind of like I'm just moving on now. I'm not logging on every day anymore, and I just know that I'll get bigger and bigger gaps. And then one day I'll go on, and there'll just be weeds everywhere, and I'll be like, oh, I don't want to pluck all these weeds, and I'll just never go on again.
So a bit like your girlfriends, then.
I don't have girlfriends.
For that reason.
Yeah. But as you can see here, we got Nintendo Switch, 61.44 million units. Even though the 3DS sold 75.87, the software sales are at 406.67 million on the Switch.
Amazing.
And 384. And if you compare that to the Wii U, the last system, which sold 13.56 million units and 103.21. So
insane numbers, really insane numbers.
Yeah, it's gone really. I think the hybrid system for Nintendo might be here to stay for a while. I mean, it seems very odd that they would want to go away from this sort of winning formula and take a gamble again, just getting a dedicated home console.
Exactly. Why would you?
Exactly. You know, that's kind of what PlayStation's doing. Xbox is now concentrating more on the cloud side of things and Game Pass. PlayStation still is very traditional. We've got a home console. We want you to buy our games. And Nintendo is much more, we want you to play games wherever you are.
Speaking of xCloud.
Yes, the xCloud. So I've got an article from The Verge here. And cloud gaming is shaping up to have a big... I'm going to start again because I just lost the ability to read for a moment. Cloud gaming is shaping up to have a big moment on mobile starting next month with the launch of Microsoft's xCloud service, but iOS users are getting left out, and now we know exactly why. Apple won't allow these products because the strict Apple Store guidelines that makes cloud service like xCloud and its competitor Google Stadia effectively impossible to operate on the iPhone.
So let's unpick this a little bit. For them.
Can I just read the statement out? Can I just read the statement out first that Apple gave? So, Apple actually released a statement. The App Store was created to be a safe and trusted place for customers to discover and download apps, and a great business opportunity for all developers. Before they go to our store, all apps are reviewed against the same set of guidelines that are intended to protect customers and provide a fair and level playing field for developers. Our customers enjoy great apps and games for millions of developers, and gaming services can absolutely launch on the App Store as long as they follow the same set of guidelines applicable to all developers, including submitting games individually for review and appearing in charts and search. In addition, in the App Store, developers can choose to reach all iPhones and iPad users over the web through Safari and other browsers on the App Store. So essentially, they're saying, well, every single game that you've got on xCloud, we have to rate and review it before it can be live on there.
Yeah, so this is a big deal, really, because it's roundabout access to 1.5 billion users that's being denied here. And if you're limiting, that, it's a huge revenue slice that's going to be an issue, which is why they've thrown serious shade at each other in very nice words. Microsoft are not having any of it. They're saying that Apple consistently treat gaming apps differently, and that all their games are industry rated and they don't need to go through this process. Now, I think behind this has got to be Apple thinking that if you're just using iOS to access something that you've paid a subscription for, then that stops them taking their customer 30% cut. So obviously, as much as they're saying, oh, it's a safe space for all apps, I think they're thinking their bottom line, because Apple always do. They're always thinking about the bottom line. For me, I'm like, it's a bit of a disingenuous statement that they've put out. It's a bit of a smokescreen to cover what they're really on about here. And I can understand why Microsoft are feeling justifiably a bit brushed off. Yeah,
I mean, Microsoft spokesman put out their own statement. Our testing period for the Project xCloud preview app for iOS has expired, because apparently there was like a test app on the App Store, but you could only play Halo Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
There was only one game on it. Unfortunately, we do not have a path to bring our vision of cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to gamers on iOS via the Apple App Store. Apple stands alone as the only general purpose platform to deny customers from cloud gaming and game subscription services like Xbox Game Pass, and it constantly treats gaming apps differently, applying more lenient rules for non-gaming apps. even when they include interactive content, i.e. Netflix and things like that. That's not in the statement, that was me.
I thought that might be you. I read the statement earlier. I thought, I'm sure they didn't mention Netflix.
All games available on the Xbox Game Pass catalogue are rated for content by independent industry ratings bodies such as the ESRB and regional equivalents. We are committed to finding a path to bring cloud gaming with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to the iOS platform. We believe that the customer should be at the heart of the gaming experience, and gamers tell us they want to play, connect and share anywhere, no matter where they are. We agree. So yeah, so it's kind of like, say, there's no way Apple demands Netflix to give them all of their content to rate themselves.
No.
On the show.
Not a chance.
Yeah, it's like, it's money basically. They want the pennies. They don't want Xbox being on there.
Cut, don't they?
They do. They want their cut, which, you know, I guess you can't blame them.
Well, it's a huge market, isn't it? That's the thing. They're like, how can we possibly let this go? But Microsoft saying we're committed to finding a way through. I can't see, you know, how this can move forward unless Apple budge a bit.
I think they've got two options. Is they can cut a deal with Apple to pay them money, so that every microtransaction or anything that goes through on the iOS, Apple get a cut. Or can't they just develop the app for web browser, so you wouldn't need to go into the App Store, so you could just go on your iOS device on the Safari and log into a website to do it?
I think they're having a bit of a fallout.
Yeah, but even if like Apple were against that, you can get Google Chrome on iPhones, so it wouldn't even need to be through an Apple product. Because that's one thing they've not actually touched upon yet with the cloud gaming. It's all mobile phones and computer, and it's kind of like, well, you need it to be web browser as well. Once you can get it in web browser, then Apple can't do anything.
No.
And excuse me, keep talking.
Okay, so we need to find a way forward with this, otherwise we're not going to have access to our phones, and I think that's more and more where we'll be headed with the future of gaming. And if we can't get iOS on board, I'm like, where?
I think
I don't know. Developers are looking for this, and that's where a lot of money will go.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I've got an iPhone, so this
I've got an iPhone.
does, and I've got Xbox Game Pass, so this does affect me. But I think the way around what I would do is just go, right, so I can't play it on there. If I really wanted to play it, then I might as well just buy a cheap Android device, because it doesn't need to be that powerful, because it's not running the games natively. All it needs to do is have a good connection to a Wi-Fi service, and I can do it on the phone there. So it's not a big deal. And
time will tell. Like, at a critical juncture now, so they'll either have to get some kind of conversation going, or a lot of people will buy Android.
Or people will go away from iOS, and which Apple is shooting themselves in the foot if that is the case.
Well, yeah.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks with this, or months.
Yeah, I think we'll see developments, to be honest. I can't see how they can not. I think they'll come to some arrangement. Anyway, moving on.
So,
excitement. You know, the Xbox girl is very,
there has been so many rumours regarding the Xbox Lockhart, which is meant to be a lower price entry into next generation gaming.
And you know I'm cheap, so.
Well, it's basically like a very similar device. It's just not quite got as higher GPU in it. So. And it's only going to be capable of like 1080p, not 4K. Yeah. Which, if you've not got a 4K TV, it's fine. But the new Xbox One controller has kind of revealed that the Xbox Lockhart is in fact real, and it is in fact going to be called the Xbox Series S, which is kind of what people suspected when we got like the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. Then it makes sense for it to be the Xbox One X, Series X and Series S. So it actually says on the box, The Verge here, they've actually sort of said this is true. They've confirmed the sources, and it actually says on the box that it's compatible with the Xbox Series X/Series S, Xbox One, and the Xbox One X.
Yeah, so this controller popped up on a resale site, didn't it? This is how this.
Yeah, someone managed to buy one early, and it's kind of like these probably will, because they're compatible with the current Xboxes. They might well and truly be out before the next gen hardware.
Probably.
Yeah. So Twitter user Zach S was able to purchase a controller today, and we've confirmed it's genuine.
Lucky Zach.
It's a very similar controller. It's just got an extra button in the middle. So it's got an extra button in the middle there, and the D-pad's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's very...
Short for Zachary.
I don't know. It's Twitter handle, innit? It could be anything.
Okay. All right. So that was my excitement of today, and next is my disappointment of today.
The disappointment. The PlayStation Sony has announced that the Marvel Avengers game will have exclusive Spider-Man only content. He will not be on any other system, i.e. PC and Xbox. Although Spider-Man, PlayStation exclusively betrays Marvel's Avengers best feature. And people aren't happy about this.
People aren't happy is a bit of an understatement. Howling.
Although I did watch this podcast over the weekend, and they actually, because apparently it's in beta now, the Marvel Avengers, and they said after playing the game, they're not really that bothered because it's not very good.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, yeah, people are upset about this, but once they play the game, they probably won't mind so much.
Yeah, whatever. The only thing that I sort of saw is they hadn't said whether this is a permanent or
a timed exclusive. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, all right, well, maybe the scope yet.
Yeah, it might come out because they're still talking about being able to do cross-play, and it's like if Spider-Man's only on PS4, but yet he's in cross-play, it's just rubbing salt into the wound, isn't it, for the other people?
It really is.
It's like, oh, there's Spider-Man, we can't use him.
No, for me, this was like close to home because I'm a Marvel fan.
Well, that's the thing.
When I was growing up, I read all the comics. I was a bit of a strange little girl, let's be honest about that. But I didn't have a Cindy or a Barbie. I had an Action Man, and I was reading Marvel comics. So for me, this gets kind of close to home. This betrayed my childhood, man.
Yeah, and it's kind of like at the moment, Spider-Man is probably one of the most popular Avengers going. So
absolutely. I mean, the Spider-Man films were massive, and that's why I think people are so angry about this. But I think just wait and see. I can't see this continuing. Surely they're going to want to release onto Xbox and across the board.
And because it's an Avengers game. It's not like Sony has gone, here's $100 million. Can you add Spider-Man just for our console? What they've done is, here's $100 million. Or that's just that's not a really realistic sum, but that's just like, here's a load of money. Can you like segregate Spider-Man out and just have him on ours? They're not adding him in because there's already not that many characters in the game anyway. And why the hell wouldn't Spider-Man be in an Avengers game? So they're taking the content away. They're not adding.
Exactly.
Outraged. I mean, I know Sony has the movie rights for Spider-Man, but they don't have any rights over his game appearances, which is why Spider-Man was in Ultimate Alliance last year, which was a Nintendo Switch exclusive.
Yeah.
And it was even voiced by the same person that voiced Spider-Man in the PS4 game. So yeah, people aren't happy. And speaking of people aren't happy, there's more people that aren't happy.
You're not happy.
I'm fine because I bought the physical version. Nintendo has announced
Pikmin Go.
Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3 is coming to Nintendo Switch, but it has vanished from the eShop on the Switch, and all the DLC has gone as well. So if you've already bought it there, you can still re-download everything, but you can't now purchase Pikmin from Nintendo directly anymore.
Yeah, so this has been deleted ahead of the October release.
Yes, October 30th, Pikmin 3 comes out, Deluxe, which has got extra stuff. It's got all the DLC plus some extra missions and a 2-player co-op as well.
Yeah,
which
so
wasn't
they've got
in the
the
original.
side story included, haven't they? With Olimar and so on.
Yes, Oliver and Louis, who didn't actually play in the Pikmin 3. I like Pikmin. Pikmin's a good game.
So the reaction to this was a bit mixed, I think. Some people going, well, whatever, and other people going, I can't access.
But let's be real here. We saw the sales figures earlier. 13 million for the Wii U, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
in comparison.
So there's no one with a Wii U. If you had a Wii U and you wanted Pikmin 3, you've already got it. Yeah, it was only £20 on the Wii U, but if you're that desperate for it, go down to CEX and get it secondhand.
You're very harsh.
It's true that, I mean, this isn't a first. They did this for Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze as well when that released, when that got ported over. But why would Nintendo want a £20 version of a game on the eShop when they're, for all intents and purposes, pretty much selling the same game again for £60?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
I think
50.
this is a non-competition move, really.
It's not great, and it's a bit... But the people that are just like... Unless I win the lottery or got just shed loads of money by the end of October, I'm not going to buy it. I've got Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, so unless there's some drastic upheaval to it, I'm probably not going to pick this one up. But there's still over 50 million people. Let's assume everyone who bought a Wii U bought a Switch. That's still well over 50 million people who don't have access to this game any other way.
Yes.
So, it makes sense. And,
very significant numbers there.
And yeah, I guess people that are like, well, I supported the Wii U when I supported Nintendo when times were hard and blah 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 blah. We had to make do with everything, but oh well, that was then. This is now. Get over it. But yeah, it's not ideal, but
that is the end of the news for today. Do we have any questions?
Apparently we do.
We do have a question.
Well, you told me about it, so don't act so surprised.
We have a question.
Yes.
We've got a subscriber who's asked us a question.
Go for it.
So, subscriber says, as a mum of 2 with very little time, what games would you recommend? I want to dip in and out of it, and in the evening when the kids have gone to bed. I have a PlayStation, a phone, and a PC.
This isn't a question for us, really. You're an Xbox.
Not narrowed it down, really. Cool, but obviously for me, I do like my RPGs, but I can never just dip in and out.
They're not pick up and play. That's the problem. I mean,
what she needs is a Switch.
The Switch would be perfect because it's literally just pick up whenever you get a few 5 minutes. I would actually say if you've got PlayStation Plus, then pick up Fall Guys. Even if you get through to the finals, games only last between about sort of 5 to 10 minutes at most, and a lot of the time they're shorter because you get knocked out early. But it's really enjoyable, and I know it's not for everyone, but I'm having a great time with it, and I enjoy it so much. It's funny.
So is that our recommendation? So obviously
that's my recommendation. You need a recommendation of your own. You can't share my recommendation.
Well, she doesn't have an Xbox, so my favourite games are always on the Xbox.
But most of them are in both.
Yeah, for me, I think probably it would be a phone game that she might want to look at, and there's so many. So
if I was recommending a phone game, it would be Pokemon Go, because that's all I play on the phone. And that's not really pick up and play kind of game.
Yeah. I hear you.
To go out and slog around for hours on end.
I tell you what, we have played some Pokemon Go, for quite some hours. I was having a look back, on your Facebook memories, and it comes up with, sort of what you were doing 2 years ago and stuff.
4 years ago, it would have been.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Well, there appears to be a huge amount of photos of me with Pokemon.
Yeah. That's because I kept taking them.
Facebook. And I'm like, how did this come about? Oh, yes, that was that summer.
It was the summer when it first came out, when everyone was playing Pokemon Go.
And we tramped all over town. Yeah.
Yes, we did.
We were out doing miles and miles and miles, hatching eggs and catching Pokemon.
Well,
yeah.
It had to be done.
Good times. Yeah. Okay. I think our recommendation has got to be buy a Switch, girl.
Got to be what, sorry?
Buy a Switch.
BioSwitch.
Yeah.
What's that?
Never mind. Are we done with stories for today?
I think so. I think that's everything. There's no one in chat that wants to ask us a question? No. Oh well. Maybe next time. But if you do want to ask us a question, please leave a comment down below the video, or you can get us on Twitter with the hashtag NinquesoLive. And we will answer next week if we see it.
Yeah.
But we do search for them, so we should see them.
Yeah, we will see it. We'll see it. So you can ask us anything at all.
Yes,
ask us a question.
Ask us anything. Doesn't mean we'll answer it, but
Yeah.
you can ask us anything.
You can ask us anything at all. Doesn't mean we'll answer it, but you know, you can ask.
Within reason, we'll answer.
Within reason, yeah.
And okay, anything else?
I think that's it for today.
Okay.
It's past your bedtime.
Where can people find you? Because when we just pointed down to the tags that are on the screen, obviously some people might listen to this on a podcast, so
Yeah.
you need to give
So
your
you
give your
can
Twitter
find me
give your Twitter
on
out.
Twitter.
Yeah,
Gamer Girl Miss Bree.
cool. And you can find me on Facebook as elgrankeso74 and Twitter keso_cheeselets. And
I'm hungry now.
and yeah, and I'm on Twitch as well at Ninqueso, but I don't really go on Twitch very often.
You're rubbish, that's why.
I'm not rubbish, I'm average.
Exactly.
So thank you for watching. We will leave this video up. If you did miss it and can't watch it live, it will still be on YouTube forever. We can also now catch us on iTunes and Spotify. If you do listen to us there, please rate and review our product. This will help us out tremendously. And if you're watching us on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe and share the videos as well. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Not me you're thanking though. But until next time, catch you later.
See ya.